move on to the welterweight division. We have Kamaru Usman taking on Warley Alves. Kamaru Usman, a minus 220 favorite comeback on Alves, plus 180.
We were discussing this earlier.
We were discussing this earlier. All right. This is an interesting.
Explain this one to me, Paul.
Kamaru Usman, nobody is doubting. This guy's wrestling. Basically elite of the elite. He was on like the practice squad for the Olympic team. Didn't go to the Olympics, but
still,
he's hanging out with all of those guys. They bring him in as a body for the team.
He's like a D2 world champion, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
All-American.
I think he won a national title
champion?
at like D3 or D, not D1.
He is legit.
But he's very legit.
Just ask Alexander Yakovlev, who just got completely dominated from him the whole time. My issue is like when he goes in for that takedown. We've seen Colby Covington go in there and eat that guillotine. That's a risky spot. I think Kamaru Usman working on his striking down Black Zillions. I think that it was decent on the Ultimate Fighter, and every single fight I think it's been getting better and better.
Yeah,
I think he can. When we've seen Alves, he's not. He got basically beaten up by Brian Barberena. I think Usman can catch him, or can dominate him on the feet here. My one thing is that sub that worries me. It's like if you're constantly going for that takedown, maybe Usman just keeps it on the feet, outpoints him, wins the fight that way. But when when wrestling is such your strong suit like that, it's like at some point he's gonna try to take him down and dominate him. Like that's what he's done his whole life.
I think that's what he does.
That's how he got to this spot. It's the only thing that worries me about this. So I would maybe suggest the ever slightest sprinkle on Alves by sub at plus 500. Otherwise, this is a straight pass for me.
Yeah, see, the thing with Warlley Alves is I think very much he's a one-trick pony. So if you're going to have good submissions, that's one thing. But when you start relying on the Cody McKenzie guillotine choke, guys are going to avoid the guillotine choke. Now, what other submissions do you do well? None of them, right? And with Brian Barberena, this guy latches on a guillotine choke, a nice little guillotine choke, but he can't put Brian Barberena out. Now, maybe that's because Brian Barberena is very rugged. Maybe that's because he has a sweet beard that allowed him to kind of, that's a joke, obviously. But the main thing is that
you would know having a beard.
Yeah.
Brian Barberena-esque beard.
Now, I go to jiu-jitsu and I get smoked all the same. So I'm not Brian Barberena. That guy's as tough as they come. The fact of the matter is that you put pressure on this guy. He's going to go for that guillotine. The thing with the guillotine is we saw it with Tyron Woodley as well. Tyron Woodley has the best round of that fight in the fourth round. He drops Stephen Thompson twice. He goes to that guillotine. You see him squeezing on that guillotine hard. The moment Stephen Thompson popped his head out, I knew Stephen Thompson would win the fifth round because I knew the kind of energy this guy just exerted on that guillotine, and his arm's going to be jello right now. And I see it all the time. I saw Josh Hill in his last fight with Xavier Aloui. He tries to rear naked him with a gable grip. There's not much time left, so he squeezes it extra. The round ends up ending.
I saw Tyron Woodley this past weekend.
That's what I mean.
In round 4, tried to finish that off, and then Wonder Boy had been rocked so many times that he didn't have much left in the tank, but like Woodley almost kind of screwed himself. If Wonder Boy had more in the tank in that fifth round, it could have got ugly.
I just finished saying that. Yeah. Exactly. You can burn yourself out going for the guillotine. And I think that's what Warlley Alves, I think that's exactly what happened to him when he took on Brian Barberena. He goes for the guillotine, but he doesn't get it. And when he doesn't get it, he doesn't have that plan B. So all of a sudden, he's slower. And when he's slower, dude, he keeps his hands low. Like he'll throw one shot, but his hands are low. So counter-punching him seems to be the easiest thing in the world. And he tires. And when he tires, he slows. That fight was in Brazil. And it was the kind of fight that he lost, but it was the kind of fight that was competitive enough that you could have tried to rob the American guy. Mm-hmm. And they didn't even bother because they were like, listen, you lost this fight, man, fair and square. Now I think he gets Usman. I think, okay, this is actually a step up in competition from Brian Barberena.
It is, yeah.
It is. Now Usman's a guy that trains with such a good team that don't you think he's working on this guillotine? And don't you think guys like Gilbert Burns who are trying to guillotine him are infinitely better than Warlley Alves? I would think so. Now I do believe it's going to be a little risky pushing your head against the cage that whole time, but you're almost inviting him to, buddy, try to get my neck. Because if you try to get my neck, I don't have to complete the takedown anymore. I'll just bring you to the ground, pop my head free, and I'm going to beat you. Yeah. The longer the fights go, Usman uses the same amount of energy the whole time, right? Because he's cool with being a boring fighter. Doesn't mind it. Warlley Alves starts hot and fades considerably. So if this fight's at 2 minutes into the first round, he's going to be looking a lot worse. And then once it's at 3 minutes, he's going to look even worse. Once he gets to the second round and he doesn't get that guillotine, he's done. So I think Usman by decision. I don't mind Warlley Alves. I don't think this is a good spot for him. He needs guys that are not going to try to grind on him. I know he pulled it off against Covington, but that you shouldn't have to keep doing this against wrestlers. Give him someone who's going to dance freely with him. Oh, wait, they did. Bryan Barberena. And he still lost.
So I'm saying just the smallest little sprinkle on Warley Alves.
I would rather take the smallest little sprinkle on Albert Morales, that he closes his eyes as this guy's running towards him and goes, ah, and hits him and puts him down.
He probably would, well, yeah. Yeah, closing, he may be able to hit Almeida that way.
Almeida's face doesn't move, okay? So you can just close your eyes and just make sure you throw it straight and just know this guy's not moving his head off that way.
Same strategy I used to use against my older brothers in most of our fights.
My brother's a wimp. I never had to close my eyes, but, his buddies, that was a different story.